I investigated my creepy neighbor's secret rituals. What I found in apartment 4B haunts me forever. They warned me not to enter his hidden room. Now I'm trapped in a nightmare beyond time. Let me start by saying I'm not a paranoid person. I don't believe in ghosts, aliens, or government conspiracies. But after what happened in apartment 4B, I'm not sure what to believe anymore. I moved into the Willowbrook Apartments on a rainy Tuesday in October. It was one of those old brick buildings downtown with gargoyles leering from the roof and creaky floors that smelled like mothballs and regret. But hey, it was cheap. And after my ex took the dog and the Netflix password, cheap was my new religion. The first time I saw Mr. Blackwood, he was standing in the hallway outside my door, staring at the wall. Not at the wall, into it, like it was a TV screen playing his favorite show. He was tall, gaunt, with silver hair slicked back like a 1940s detective. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly pressed, but his shoes, they were caked in dried mud, as if he'd walked through a swamp. "Hi, I'm Alex," I said, juggling a box of kitchenware. He didn't turn, just kept staring. "Nice weather, huh?" I tried again. Finally he spoke, his voice like gravel under a boot. "You shouldn't be here." Then he walked into apartment 4B and shut the door. The noises started that night. Thumps, scrapes, low guttural humming that vibrated through the walls. At 3 a.m., a knock rattled my door. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. But when I opened it, there was a slip of paper on the floor. Rules for residents of 4A. Do not acknowledge the man in 4B after dark. If you hear footsteps in the hall, close your eyes and count to 30. Never, ever, enter his apartment. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. I laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound, and crumpled it up. Bad idea. 3 days later, I met Mrs. Peabody, the 90-year-old widow in 4C. She invited me in for tea, her apartment a time capsule of doilies and porcelain dolls. "You've seen him, haven't you?" she whispered, clutching her cup. "Mr. Blackwood." I nodded. "He's been here since 1957. "That's impossible. He'd be older." She leaned in. "The previous tenant of 4A, a sweet girl named Clara, she went into his apartment. They never found her." My throat went dry. "What's in there?" She paused. The night she disappeared, I heard her screaming, and something laughing. I bought a lockpick kit on Amazon. 2 weeks of stalking Mr. Blackwood's routine, out at 7 p.m., back at 4 a.m., gave me a window. Literally. His bathroom window had a broken latch. Inside, the apartment was freezing. Dust coated everything except a single armchair facing a bare wall. No TV, no photos. Just a red door in the back, locked with 3 deadbolts. My hands shook as I picked the locks. The door creaked open, revealing a staircase descending into pitch-black darkness. A damp, earthy smell wafted up, like soil and rotting leaves. And then I heard something climbing up the stairs. The thing climbing the stairs sounded wrong. Not human. Too many limbs. Too many joints cracking. I slammed the red door shut, relocked the deadbolts, and fled. But as I scrambled out the bathroom window, I heard Mr. Blackwood's voice behind me. "You've opened the door. Now it knows your scent." I didn't sleep that night. The humming in the walls grew louder, and at 3 a.m., the knocking returned. This time it wasn't at my door. It was inside my closet. 3 days later, Mrs. Peabody vanished. Her apartment was empty, except for a single porcelain doll left on her kitchen table. Its head was twisted backward, eyes gouged out. That's when I found her journal hidden under a floorboard. Entries dated back to 1962. She wrote about the digger under 4B, a creature Mr. Blackwood feeds with those who break the rules. The last page was a sketch, a network of tunnels beneath Willowbrook, labeled the labyrinth, and at the center, a massive pulsing machine made of bones. I went back. Stupid? Yes. But Clara, the missing tenant, was my cousin. I had to know. This time I brought a flashlight, a knife, and my dad's old Zippo. The red door opened easier, like it wanted me inside. The staircase descended deeper than physics allowed. At the bottom, the air tasted metallic, and the walls, they were breathing. Then I saw it, a cavern lit by bioluminescent fungi, filled with half-rotten furniture from different decades. A 1980s TV played static. A 1950s fridge buzzed. And in the center, the bone machine from Mrs. Peabody's sketch, whirring with cogs made of vertebrae. That's when the digger found me. It was a mass of skeletal limbs and matted fur, with a human face stretched across its chest like a mask. Clara's face. "Alex," it gurgled in her voice. "You shouldn't be here." I ran. The tunnels shifted, walls closing in. The Zippo's flame revealed symbols carved into the stone, same ones on Mr. Blackwood's door. I followed them blindly until I stumbled into a chamber filled with people. Dozens of them, suspended in cocoons of black vines. Some looked decades old. One was Mrs. Peabody, her mouth sewn shut. And then the vines moved. The vines lashed at me, snagging my jacket. I slashed with the knife, and black sludge oozed from their cuts. Thick, acidic, reeking of burnt hair. That's when one of the cocoons twitched. A hand burst through the vines, pale, shaking, but unmistakably alive. "Help! Me!" croaked a voice. It was a man in a faded flannel shirt, his face gaunt but familiar. I'd seen him in a missing persons poster from 2003. Ethan Cole, 24, vanished after complaining about noises in his apartment. Ethan's story was a nightmare on loop. He'd been lured into 4B by Clara's voice, same as me. But Mr. Blackwood wasn't just a gatekeeper, he was a caretaker. The bone machine, Ethan said, wasn't a portal. It was a filter, siphoning life from the trapped to sustain something far older. "Blackwood's been feeding it for 70 years, Ethan whispered. "The rules? They're not to protect us. They're to protect it from getting greedy." Then he grabbed my arm. "But there's a way to kill it. You need to—" A vine speared through his chest. Ethan's last words. "Break the machine. Burn the heart." I dodged vines and sprinted toward the bone machine. Up close it was worse. Ribs formed gears. Finger bones spiraled into screws. And at its center hung a fleshy, beating orb veined with gold. The heart. I sparked the Zippo. "Stop!" Mr. Blackwood stood behind me, but different. His skin peeled like old wallpaper, revealing something insectile beneath. "You don't understand. This isn't evil. It's hunger, and hunger is the oldest truth of all." I threw the lighter. The heart ignited with a scream that wasn't human. The tunnels collapsed. I ran, but the digger cornered me. Clara's face weeping black tears. "You killed us," it hissed. "Now you'll take our place." It lunged and the world ripped. I woke up in my apartment. Same rainstorm, same boxes. Mr. Blackwood stood in the hall, staring at the wall. "You shouldn't be here," he said. But this time I recognized my own face in the mud caked on his shoes. "I've relived the same 3 days 17 times. Each loop starts with rain pounding my windows and ends with the digger tearing me apart. But this time, something changed. When I woke up, my walls were covered in tally marks I didn't draw, and written in blood. Find the watch." In the hallway, Mr. Blackwood's mud-caked shoes now held two faces, mine and Clara's. I broke into 4B again, desperate. This time the armchair faced a cracked mirror. When I touched it, visions flooded my mind. 1923. A young man in a lab coat, Blackwood, experimenting with chronal energy. A machine, a pact with a shadowed entity, a scream. The first digger, born from his assistant's corpse. Blackwood wasn't the villain. He was the first victim. The entity demanded a caretaker, and he's been replacing himself ever since by trapping others. Back in the tunnels, I found the watch etched on the wall, a rusted pocket watch buried in the bone machine's ashes. Its hand spun backward. When I wound it, the digger froze mid-lunge. A voice echoed, "You stole my escape." Behind me stood a spectral figure, Clara, translucent and furious. "That watch was mine. I almost broke the loop. Now you've doomed us both." She vanished, leaving the watch ticking louder. Too loud. The next loop shattered. I woke in a warped Willowbrook, hallways bent at impossible angles, Tenants with hollow faces repeating fragmented conversations. Mrs. Peabody's doll crawled toward me, whispering, "He's coming." In the lobby, a new door glowed red. Behind it stood a younger Blackwood, chained to the bone machine. "Help me," he begged. "It's using you to rebuild itself." Then the ceiling collapsed, and something crawled through, a hybrid of the digger and Clara, screeching, "You did this!" The hybrid creature, Clara and the digger, fused into one abomination, dragged me into the bone machine's chamber. The heart had regrown, larger now, throbbing with veins that pulsed like living wires. Young Blackwood's ghost flickered beside it, screaming silently. "You thought I was the villain?" Present-day Blackwood materialized, his insectile form shedding human skin like ash. "I'm a custodian. The real evil is the god that built this machine. It's been here for millennia, feeding on time itself." A vision tore into my mind. A prehistoric cavern. Humans in animal skins chanting around a stone version of the bone machine. Sacrifices vanishing into a vortex of teeth and smoke. Clara's ghost cornered me in the warped lobby, her spectral hands icy. "I tried to bargain with it," she hissed. "I offered Blackwood in exchange for my freedom. But the entity doesn't want him anymore. It wants you." She pointed to the pocket watch. Its glass was cracked, leaking black smoke that smelled like burnt sugar. "That watch isn't a tool, it's a tether. Every time you used it, you tied yourself to the machine. Now it's eating your timeline." Outside, the rain fell upward. I found Mrs. Peabody's journal in the rubble. Her final entry: "The only way to kill it is to become it. Someone must take its place. Someone must hunger." Blackwood appeared, human again, but bleeding from his eyes. "I'm tired," he said. "End this. Let me die." But the entity's voice boomed through the walls, 1,000 overlapping whispers. "Choose, the caretaker or the machine." I grabbed the watch and did the one thing Clara never expected. I smashed it against the heart. Reality splintered. The digger dissolved into moths. The bone machine crumbled. Blackwood screamed as gold veins erupted from his chest, binding him to the floor. "You fool, it'll reset. It'll start again." The walls peeled away, revealing a void filled with countless versions of Willowbrook, some burning, some overgrown, some infested with creatures worse than the digger. In every one, a red door glowed. Clara's ghost grabbed my hand. "There's one last loop, but you won't remember any of this." Then I woke up. Rain pounded my windows. Boxes surrounded me, and someone knocked at my door. The knock was mine. When I opened the door, I saw myself, bloodied, wild-eyed, clutching the broken pocket watch. "Don't let it reset," future me hissed. "Remember the tally marks. Remember everything." Then they shoved the watch into my hands and dissolved into ash. The tally marks on my walls began to glow. Memories flooded back. 17 loops. Clara's betrayal. The entity's true name, etched in the void. Nectra, the first hunger. This time, I wouldn't play by its rules. The knock was mine. When I opened the door, I saw myself, bloodied, wild-eyed, clutching the broken pocket watch. "Don't let it reset," future me hissed. "Remember the tally marks. Remember everything." Then they shoved the watch into my hands and dissolved into ash. The tally marks on my walls began to glow. Memories flooded back. 17 loops. Clara's betrayal. The entity's true name, etched in the void. Nectra, the first hunger. This time I wouldn't play by its rules. Mrs. Peabody's journal fell open to a page I'd never seen. To kill a god, become its shadow. To starve it, starve yourself. Blackwood lunged at me, but I plunged the broken watch into the heart. The gears ground to a halt. Clara's ghost surged free, her spectral hands clawing at Nectra's veins. "Do it!" she screamed. "Merge with the machine. Let it consume you." I hesitated. Then I stepped into the heart. Nectra's roar shook realities. I felt its hunger, an endless, gnawing void. But I also felt the trapped souls. Clara, Ethan, Mrs. Peabody, hundreds more. I pulled them into me, our collective pain a weapon. "You want time?" I whispered. "Take it." I poured every loop, Every memory, every second of suffering into nitrous core. The entity's screams crescendoed, then stopped. The machine exploded, the tenants collapsed, and the red door appeared in my apartment. Willowbrook is quiet now. Mr. Blackwood is gone. The mud on his shoes is mine. I sit in 4B, staring at the wall. The tenants don't see me, but they sense the rules. Never acknowledge the woman in 4B. If you hear ticking, hold your breath. Never. Ever. Open the red door. Sometimes at 3 a.m., I knock on my own door. To remind myself who I was. To remember the taste of rain. If you hear humming in the walls, don't listen. It's learning.